Hey everybody, I'm Stacey Park, a licensed designer for Sizzix and Jacquard, and welcome to my fourth Take Two Tuesday class that premieres every Tuesday, 5 p.m. sunny California time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern on my YouTube channel, or you can visit Sizzix.com and find the Stacey Park Hub that will show you all of my Take Two Tuesday classes, along with my new release that is launching on March 1st. I'm so excited. So what's a Take Two Tuesday event? Easy peasy. I take two items and I put them together for a class that has moments where you are going to go, oh, or I can do that, because you can. And when you see how easy it is to use my new products from Sizzix and Jacquard, it will make your heart happy. It will make your makes happy. And I think you will find that you want to add them to your collection. So if there's any retailers out there watching this right now, chime on in, say, hey, I am an independent store here in, name your state, name your store, and let everybody know you are here and you are carrying this product so they can pre-order it from you. If you're an online store, type in, visit my website. I can ship anywhere. List who you are and let's get the word out that there are still online crafting stores and independent stores out there for all of us. Now, they will have the product prior to me. They'll have it a few weeks in advance. So I encourage you to shop local, shop independent, and if you don't have one, then visit your favorite online retail store. Now, last week we used one of my layering stencils, my Floral Impressions layering stencils, and we made beautiful things with it. Simple, but beautiful. Here is one of the samples. If you did not get a chance to watch that Take Two Tuesday, again, go on back and watch number 3 and then come and watch number 4. In fact, this little mat right here, well, I'm going to be using that die today in today's Take Two Tuesday. So what do I have for you today? Well, I picked two things for this week. One, a fanciful framelit, where you can die cut, you can stencil. There's so many things that can be done with this. You can emboss. So many things that can be done with my fanciful framelits. And over the next several Take Two Tuesdays, I'll be introducing you to more and more ideas of what these dies can do. There's 4 in the collection. This is my top note. But when it finally launches, you'll have an opportunity for ovals, rectangles, hexagons, and top notes. So I'm going to pair this with one of my new stamps from Sizzix. And this is a whopper of a stamp. I'm a girl who believes it's easier to cut something down than to try and stamp something bigger. So my stamps are a full A5 size, almost a full A5 size. That means you're going to be able to do A2 cards, A6 cards, 5x7 cards, mini slimline cards, and full-size slimline cards with one stamp. And I'm going to show that to you today. So we're going to take both of these brand new products, launching March 1st at your favorite online or independent retailer. I'm going to take them. I'm going to show you how to use them. We're going to make something wonderful and achievable by everybody so that you know, even if you are the newest of crafters, you can do this. All right, so I'm going to put these aside. I'm going to tilt down. We're going to get started for today, and I think I'm going to start with the stamping and not the die cutting. Yes, I think that's where I'm going to start. I'm Stacey. I'm a licensed designer for Sizzix and Jacquard. You should know that my videos are unscripted, unedited, no voiceovers or dubbing. What you see is what you get, and if I make a mistakes, well, we just keep going and figure out how to make it a happy accident. All right, you guys, I'm ready to get started. I hope you are too. And let's bring over the stamp. Are you ready? Down we go. See, I'm even my own camera person. Now I have to put my glasses on because I am a lady of a certain age. And without them, we're all gonna be in trouble. I'll be asking you, anybody see where something went? Okay, so my stamp. Here's the packaging, and that's what you'll find at your local retailer. This is what you're going to see on their wall. Always remember that this teal line here, this teal border, that designates it's a Stacey Park product. All you have to do is look for that teal and you know that I designed it. But here's the packaging, yet here is the stamp. Let me get a piece of white paper to go behind it so you can see better. Here's the actual stamp. Look at the difference between the packaging and the actual stamp. It is a whopper. And I went this big so that you could do an A2, an A6, a 5x7, a mini slimline, a full slimline with just one stamp. Options are important. So when I designed, I really wanted to give those options to you. And coming later in the year, there's another product that's going to coordinate with this to elevate this stamp once again, making it brand new for all of you. I can't wait till that comes out, but that's later in the year. So I'm going to take my stamp, and I think the first thing I want to talk to you about is something just very simple that I don't think I knew when I started this. On top is a liner, and it has the image of the stamp. You peel it off and there's the stamped image. And on the liner, you can feel the printing on one side and smooth on the other. They call this, I think, pad printing. I'm not 100% sure, but it's very nice to have it because it tells you what the stamp looks like. What I didn't know and what I did is that without thinking about it, I put the liner with the printing right down on my stamp. And I left it like that. And when I pulled it off, some of the black transferred. Now, it didn't transfer on the stamp, it just transferred on the top portion. So I don't want you to be worried that if you are in a hurry and you just put this back on and you put it on upside down and you press it down and you come back a few days later because you want to use it again because it's now your new fave, and you pull it off, if any of that black stays behind. I don't want you to worry about that because, again, it's not going to harm the stamp at all. The stamp is actually on this side, and there's no black on that side. So that's the first thing I want to talk to you about because I made that mistake. And if I make that mistake, chances are you might make that mistake. But really, does it harm anything? No, not at all. So if that happens to you, don't worry about it at all. Your stamp is going to be fine. You can see that, if I can get a glare off of it, that this is the smooth side, and that's what is going to cling to your stamp positioner. Didn't hurt my stamp at all. Now I am going to be using the Stencil and Stamp platform from Sizzix. So this is a tool that is meant for stencils. I use it a lot for my, not just my layering stencils, but my regular stencils as well. Today though, I'm going to be using it as a stamp positioner. So I'm not going to need the alignment tool. I can put that off to the side. I am going to need the lid to my position, or to my Stencil and Stamp platform. And what I want you to see is how easy it is to take the lid on and off. It just comes in and out. It's super easy. There's no clicking or anything. I also want you to know that the top part is gridded, whereas the inside is smooth. For stamps, it's always better to use the smooth side versus the gridded side. It's a little harder for the stamp to cling to that gridded side. Also, if you're working with rubber stamps or clear stamps, have no fear. You don't have to change the lid back and forth. It'll work for both clear and rubber without any problem. And in the beginning, people were like, wow, this is a really big positioner. Well, it is. The stencil aspect is what really this is all about. The stamp positioner part of it is the added wahoo kachoo. And the size of it, well, I knew what was coming. And my stamps, well, they need a larger platform. Hello? So I'm going to cut a piece of white paper. And down on my Stencil and Stamp tool is a piece of sticky grid. Let's just cut some off. I'm using my Sizzix Smooth Cardstock. So there's sticky grid right here. This is an A4 size sticky grid. You get one with your stencil and stamp platform, and it holds your paper in place. It's lovely. When it stops sticking, and let me tell you, you really have to work at it to stop sticking. I mean, you can probably get 50, 60 sticks to it without even blinking an eye. They've given you a little tab right here so that you can pull it off, and they do sell the sticky grid in a 5-pack so that when this stops sticking, you can replace it. Maybe you've got embossing powder or glitter all over it. At some point it will stop to stick, but it takes quite a bit to do that. Now I'm going to put my paper right on down, and I'm going to press it down, and that's going to hold it in place. Look at that, it doesn't move anywhere. And then I'm going to take my stamp, and I'm going to take my stamp and I'm going to layer it right over the top. And look at that. It is almost a full A5 size. I love the size of my stamps because I can always cut it down, but to make something bigger is a little harder. Now I'm going to make sure that the smooth side is what's going to close down on top of my stamp, because then I'm going to give it a press, and I'm going to pick it up, and there's my stamp ready to be inked. Now today I'm going to be using my new inks from Jacquard, and they are a premium dye-based ink. They are water reactive, so no using it with your Copic markers or your alcohol ink markers, but if you want those splatters and the pretty little droplets, they're perfect for that. And I'm going to start with my lightest color, and I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to add a little bit of color all the way around. So I'm going to do the whole thing in yellow, just to make sure that I've got color everywhere. And then I'm going to come back, and maybe I add a little bit of orange, my orange pop. And I'm just going to come right in over the top of some of that yellow and just add some of my orange. And then I might even come back in with my blue jay and add a little bit of blue. Now my ink pads are a felt top and not a foam top, so you have a little more control over how much ink you're putting down. I think that's probably enough. I'm gonna then put my lid right back on in, and I'm gonna pull down and give a press. Now this is a big stamp, so I need to give a good press. And then when I pull up, we'll take a look and see what I have. Oh, okay, it's okay. I'm not sure I'm crazy about my color combinations. So because I've got it on a stamp positioner, I can go back in and I can add color. Let's say I want to add a little bit of, let's say I want to do a little bit more yellow. And I can build that color because my stamp has not moved and my paper has not moved. So I will be able to perfectly align up again. And maybe I throw in a little bit of, I don't know, cranberry fizz? What's the worst that can happen? It's only paper. It's only paper. Put it down, put it right back in, slips right back in, close it up, it aligns up perfectly, and then I can give another press. And let's see, am I happy? Oh, I'm very happy. Okay, love my flowers now. Hello. Oh my goodness, that looks beautiful. That makes my heart happy. Let's do it. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. So, oh, I don't have any baby wipes. How can I not have any baby wipes? Well, we're just going to go for it. I'm going to pull this off. Note to self, put baby wipes on your making table. Let's pull this off and put my sticky grid right back on down. I'm going to keep this one, but let's do it one more time. And let's start with, I'm always a girl who likes to start with yellow. It just is my base color. And then let's go back with a little bit of orange. And then this time maybe a little teal deal. And let's see what we get. Paper down. I put my paper up. Oh, Stacey. Okay, well, I didn't line my paper up first. Let's just line it on down and see what I get. That looks pretty good. Good press. Up. Yeah, again, yeah, I think I'm going to add some color to it. Let's try Plum Crazy and see what we get with Plum Crazy. And let's just add a little bit of plum. And down we go. It lines up perfectly because I didn't move my paper and I didn't move my stamped image. Give a good press. And up we go. Oh, I like it better. See, I like, but maybe I should add a little bit more orange to it. What do you think would happen if I added a little bit more orange to it? So I can keep building my color for as long as it makes my heart happy. And because it lines up perfectly every time, it allows me to build that color without having to worry. Oh yeah, better. See, I needed a little bit more orange and a little bit more blue. So now I've got 2 of these to play with. Love them. Easy way to color. Fast, simple, effective. So I'm going to take my stamp and I think I'm going to put it back on my liner. Close up my positioner, and we're going to move to the die portion of today's class. So I'm going to bring this on over and put that on my clear, and now I'm going to feel. Oh yeah, this is the printed side, this is not. I'm going to put that on top and then put it right back on in to store it. So let's move to the die portion of today, and I'm going to be using my Fanciful Framelits. These are my Dottie top notes, my Doris Dottie top notes. I named my Fanciful Framelits after the SMS girls, my girls who help with all the makes. They do a fabulous job, and it is a layering die that gives you lots of opportunity. So here's my largest frame, but then I've got this little frame right here which has an embossed detail into it. Let's see if I can get it to zoom. Hello, zoom. It has an embossed detail into it. Not an edge to cut. Then my next die is a cutting die, and it has that edge to cut. And the die after that is another embossing die where it has that dotty detail but no edge to cut. Typically when you see dies that have a stitched edge or a dotty edge, it's built into the main die. So that is the only design that you get to do. I wanted to make mine a little bit different so that you had an opportunity to use the frame dies by themselves, to use the embossing dies by themselves, or to put them all together. So this is my first dotty, my top note set, and I brought it out with a tool called the Gotcha tool. I did the Gotcha tool years and years ago, and when I became a licensed designer for Sizzix, we modernized it. We made magic. We made Sizzix chic out of it. They took a square and made it beautiful. It sits right on your making table. It has a stand that will fold away, and it closes all the way in so it's seamless. And what it does is it allows you to pick up all your dies and have them on your making table right there for you to grab when you want to use them. So I'm going to start with my largest die, and I am going to use the die element and not the embossing element right now. And I'm going to make a card base out of this die. To do that, I think, let's pick paper. I'm going to be using my Revealz paper. Sizzix has new Revealz paper out. It's beautiful. What Revealz paper does is just gorgeous. It allows you to, you can see the color I love, that teal color is almost gone. I use it all the time. It allows you to take paper that is the same color, top and bottom, but when you tear it, it doesn't tear to white. It tears to a lighter shade of the top color. So sanding this, tearing this, it's just gorgeous. It does have two sides. You have a textured side, like a linen texture, but you also have a smooth side. And it doesn't matter if you tear this way or that way. You're going to get that beautiful lighter edge from the center. Such pretty paper and so many beautiful things to do with it. So this is called Revealz, and it also launches on March 1st. It is in the A6 size. So this is perfect for all of your Sizzix embossing folders because they are A6 in size. But then I wanted it in A4 size too because, well, we do more than A6. So what color? Ooh, what color am I going to go with? I might go with the yellow in this. Maybe the yellow? Or the pink? I don't know. It all looks good. Let's see. The colors are so very rich and luxe. The orange. Okay, you guys, help me decide. Oh, think long, think wrong, Stacey. I'm going to go with that one. I think. See, I'm a crafter just like you. I have to look and think, ooh, is that what I like? Is that the one I want? Yes, I think that's what I want. I'm just going to go with it. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it in half. Just like that. And make a little kind of chomp chomp card base where my score line is at the top. So scored here, open here. Now to make a card base out of a die, it is so simple. All you have to do is hold part of the top of the die off the paper. So I would need to hold it here. And what will happen is it will cut all the edge around here, but not the score line. If I was to put my die here and send it through, well, let me make sure I've got another piece of that paper. Yes. Let's just do that. Let's just send it on through. So if I was to take this and send it through my Big Shot machine, let's pull my Big Shot machine over. So I've got my Big Shot machine, I've got my base platform, my solo shim to go with it that allows you to cut wafer dies. I have got my cut plate down here. I've got my die against my paper, and this time I'm not holding it off that edge. I'm just putting it right in the middle, just like we were die cutting. I want you to see what will happen. So I send it on through. And just as expected, I've made two very lovely die cuts, but I have not made a card base. So to do that, oh, Stacey, I think that's my last sheet. Maybe I pick a different color. No. 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 Maybe. All right, I'm okay with that. I'm going to need two purples to go ahead and make a card base. Again, I need to score my paper. Just fold it in half and give it a score. Super easy. Go down just a little bit more, up, down. Okay, so scored my paper. So I've got the closed side here and the chomp, the open side here. I take my die and I line it up so part of the top of the die is off my score line. That means it will not cut. There's no paper for it to cut. So as long as it is off my score line, I'm good to go. Now I can trim this down just a little bit and save this for something else. Bring over my Big Shot machine. And I'm going to do a wash, rinse, and repeat. So I'm going to line it up exactly like I did before. My sandwich hasn't changed. It's my base plate, my solo shim, my cut plate, my paper, my die, off the edge. You can see that it's off the edge. And then my do not cut plate. And I always use a do not cut plate. A do not cut plate is a plate that I try not to cut into, and it allows my plate to stay flat and have less warpage to it. If you've got one plate that is really nice and kind of flat, it always goes through your machine so much better. So I picked something that's different. I picked this one is clear with gold glitter in it, and that tells me this is my do not cut plate. And then I'm going to send it on through. Creaks and cracks are okay. As long as your machine is letting you roll it through, you're doing just fine. The Sizzix Big Shot machine will tell you if you're having to go to get it through, then your sandwich is wrong and you need to back off and start again. So now I've cut a card. I've made an actual card base that I can now work from. This would be fabulous in somebody's layout. Wouldn't this be amazing as part of a 12 by 12 layout or a journal of some kind? I would not get rid of this for anything because I think it would look amazing as a map for a picture. Hello, absolutely. So I want to add a little detail to this, and I want my card to have the finish of the top note. To do that, I need to add a die cut to it. Now, I already die cut these, and see, you can see if I put it on top, it gives me the full top note look while still being a card base, unlike just leaving it with the score line at the top. So I'm going to take my paper, my purple paper, and we're going to go ahead, and I think this time I am going to use the embossing element of this die set. So the first die cut, the second die allows you to emboss. Then the next die would cut and then emboss, and they just go all the way back and forth, cut, emboss, cut, emboss, cut, emboss until you get to the last die. I'm going to emboss first and cut second. I want you to see how the embossing feature works on this. So I've got my die over on my gotcha tool. I'm going to grab my paper. I just need a portion of it. In fact, I can just do this. I'm going to need to use what Sizzix calls an impression pad and a silicone pad. This is a silicone pad. I call it a squishy because, well, it squishes. This is their impression pad. I call it a knock-knock pad because, well, so kind of self-explanatory. And these are 2 peas in a pod. You buy them together, you use them together, and they are one of the most underutilized tools that Sizzix makes, but can change everything in your die cutting world, and they are wildly affordable. I want to say that they're under $10 each, somewhere in that price range, and once you buy them, you never have to replace them. So you have the silicone pad and the knock-knock pad. I think they're around $10 each, is my guess. But they're really affordable for what you get out of them. Now to use them, I have to change my sandwich up just a bit. So far, I have been using my base platform, my solo shim, and a cut plate. Put my die, my paper, and then a second cut plate. I'm gonna have to let my solo shim go because it will just be too thick to get through my machine. I'm also going to let I think we'll go ahead, we'll do it this way. So then I put my cut plate down, and then I'm going to put my die with that embossing element. Can you see those little dotties? I'm going to put that face up. Then I'm going to put my paper right on top, and then I'm going to put my squishy right on top, and my knock-knock. And that is the sandwich. I'm not going to use another cut plate to put on top. If I do, my machine is going to say, oh no you didn't. It's just going to be too thick. No matter how hard I try, there's no way that that is going to go through my Big Shot machine. It's going to tell you no. So if I take off that top plate, again, using my base plate, then a cut plate, my embossing die face up, my paper on top, my squishy on top, and my knock-knock. That's going to finish my sandwich. And then I'm going to bring my machine over and I'm going to send it through. And what's going to happen is the squishy is going to grow larger and larger. It's going to get longer and longer as the roller in my machine is compressing down on my knock knock and my squishy and my die and my paper, it's going to make the silicone pad get longer and longer, and you will see it come out the back side. So you know you're doing it right when the squishy comes out the back side. You see it? It's getting longer. It wasn't, look at that, it's even longer. As it's being compressed down by the roller, forcing that embossing, it's getting longer and longer and longer. And then when you're done, it goes right back into shape again. So now I have added an embossing element to my paper. And because this is Revealz paper, what can I do with it? Say it all together. I can sand my paper. Let me put these over, bring these back. I can sand my paper, and of course Sizzix has come out with a new sanding block. Absolutely they have. Brand new sanding block. Just like this, there's 2 to a pack. Really amazing quality because they made sure the grit on the sanding block is not too harsh on your paper. Sandpaper and grit come in, I mean, so many different, you know, thicknesses and textures that if your sanding block is too rough, you can just put a hole right through your paper, easy peasy. So Sizzix went out and they found the right grit to go with the Revealz paper. And all I have to do is come in and start to sand. Now I've got it on all 4 sides, so I can choose where I wanna add. And slowly but surely, my embossed element is coming up with that lighter shade of purple that is sandwiched in between the top and the bottom. So actually the paper is this lighter shade of purple, and then the darker purple is printed on the top and the bottom. So I'm just going to come in here and give a little sand. See how easy it's coming up? And I'm not worrying about tearing my paper because it is just paper. If I was just to sand and sand and sand and sand and sand, eventually I'd put a hole in it. But look at how easy that was to add that detail. Now I could be done here. I could trim this out and put a sentiment in the middle, or die cut and add some flowers and just use the embossing element of the die. But I want a die cut. So I'm going to bring back my first die that I made my little card base out of. And I'm going to be able to line that up and send it through my machine and die cut the entire piece out. It is all about options and having one set that gives you tools where you can create so many different things where you feel like this is something that is of value in your crafty arsenal. So I've got my base platform. I'm bringing back my Solution because I'm not using my knock knock and my squishy. I've got my cut plate down. I've got my paper and my die. Now you could use a Sizzix magnetic platform to line this up so it doesn't move. You could use washi tape or Sizzix maker's tape so that it tapes down so you don't move it. I tend to be a girl who flies by the seat of her pants, and I just kind of go for it. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but we're just gonna give it a whirl and see what happens. So I'm gonna send it on through. And let's see, creaks and cracks are okay. That means it's die cutting. Let's see how I did. Oh, not bad if I say so myself. Hello, hello beautiful. Now I can put this on top. So I've made the card base out of my top note. I've made the top to finish it off. And now let's continue with our make. I'm going to take my stamped image that I did with my stencil and stamp platform, and I inked it up, and I wasn't crazy about my first inking, so I came back and I added more color, and I love what I did now. So I'm going to take the next size die down. So far I've used the largest die and the largest embossing feature. Now I'm going to grab the next size die cutting feature, because remember, it goes die, emboss, die, emboss, die, emboss, all the way down. So I'm going to take the next die feature and see how lovely these they just right onto your gotcha tool. It's just wonderful. Keeps everything there for you. If you misplace something, it will find it for you. So I'm going to decide that I'm going to cut here. So look at, I could get 2 of these easy peasy out of here. Again, I have a frame here that I can save and use for something else because it has that Sandable image to it. I could, if I wanted to, trim this on down. Maybe I want to use it in my scrapbook or altered art, or maybe I'm doing a junk journal and I want to make this as part of the page. But I do have the opportunity to come in and sand my edges, giving it that distressed kind of look. Almost like you've inked it with a lighter color. So if I want to save this and use this for something a little bit later, it's a beautiful frame. Again, ready for your scrapbooking, your card making, your mixed media, your altered art, your junk journal. It's ready to go. I'm going to cut this one so we can continue on with this make here. So bring over my Big Shot machine, and I'm just going to do a wash, rinse, and repeat. People are like, what does wash, rinse, and repeat mean? When I was a child growing up, on the back of the shampoo bottle, those were the instructions. Wash, rinse, repeat. That was the instructions they had on the back of the shampoo bottle. So I'm going to line it on up. I can move it around to see what I want to cut. Now I'm going to go down, and there we go. Super simple cut. And again, I don't know that I'll keep this frame, but you may choose to. And I think while I'm here, I might as well do this one. We'll do both of them. And send it on through. And now I have 2 to play with. Put my die away. I think I like this one on there. Look at how perfectly it fits. And I've got my card base underneath. So let's tape some of this down. I'm just going to use some double-sided adhesive. You would do a better job of taping down than I am. I'm just trying to get it down so you can see. So with my score line to the top, I'm going to take the liner off my tape. and then line up my die. Perfect. Now, if I wasn't teaching this and I was just doing this, I'd be done. This is super fast and super easy. But since I want to show you step by step how it's done, it takes a little longer. So let's go ahead and put my paper or my tape on my paper. And expose my sticky by pulling the liner off. Now with double-sided tape, don't ever worry if it's too long. You can tear it off or cut it off, but you can also just fold it right back into itself because it is double-sided tape. So if you accidentally go too long and you don't feel like grabbing your scissors to tear or to trim it off or to tear it off, just remember, you just fold it right back into itself. And then let's layer it. Super easy. And we need a sentiment. So I'm going to grab some sentiments from Sizzix. These are by Lisa Jones, and it's her I think they're calling them daily sentiments. So it's got have a wonderful day, happy birthday, thanks, congratulations, so happy for you, Easter wishes, little one, happy birthday, thinking of you, here for you, welcome. And let's see, maybe I do so happy for you. So I'm going to grab my stamp and I'm going to grab my platform, and let's get some white paper, cut off a little piece, put my paper down, put my stamp down, ink it up, this is my carbon copy, so black. And press and up. That looks good. If I want to do it again, maybe I want to make it a little darker in my color, so I can re-ink it if I want to make that black a little bolder. Again, all the benefit of having a stamp positioner. And this is just so much more than a stamp positioner. The stencil aspect of this is amazing. Press and up. Oh yeah, love that. Okay, I'm happy. Pull that off. Let's take my stamp off and move this out of my way. So now I'm going to trim this down just a little bit. I don't use a trimmer. I tend to freehand. That looks pretty good, actually. I think I can take a little bit off the bottom. Yes. So happy for you. Do we want it a little bit smaller, a little bit tighter to the so happy for you? A little bit smaller maybe. Let's straighten this one out. Almost. I think I'll be okay with this. I know, you're like, just get a trimmer. No, what fun is that? I think I'm gonna be okay with this. I still feel like it's a little lopsided here, but we're gonna go with it. Then I'm gonna bring over some of that extra purple paper I had. Let's tape that on. Cut it out. Remember, this was some of the leftovers that I had. Oh, good. Happy. Put that right in the middle, or I can put it down towards the side, but I like it in the middle, so we're going to leave it in the middle. So I'm just going to fold that right back on. And now I can find my center. I'd give everything to be able to stand up over the top of this. And I think the last thing I'm going to do is add just a little bit of bling. I don't know, not too much. I have beautiful Aurora Borealis type of bling. It's lovely. So I'm just going to go in there. And in the center of my flowers, I'm just going to add a little bit of bling. Not too much, but just enough. This bling is by Find It Trading. They are an international company. They make beautiful bling. And I'm just going to put it in all of my little flowers. Just to finish it off. Just to add a little bit of a sparkle and shine. And I'm just picking it up with my tweezers, kind of moving it off to the side, and then putting it down. Anywhere I see a little flower. And it just adds that little finishing touch. One more right there. I put my So Happy For You upside down. Told you these are unedited, unscripted. You get what you get. We're gonna fix it. Of course I did. See, I am just like you. How many of you have put a sentiment on upside down? I am hoping all of you say me, me, me. That will make me feel so much better. Once a crafter, always a crafter. Oh my gosh, let's move it over. I've got it too far to the side. Let's figure it out. It goes somewhere right around here. Oh, Stacey. That's okay. It's all good. It's fixed now. See, no cutting, no editing, no splicing and dicing. What you see is what you get. And I love the embossed detail on the edge. I love the flowers and the multicolor. I love just a little bit of sparkle and shine. And we have made a fabulous Take Two Tuesday card where we used the new Fanciful Framelits. Remember, the teal on the side designates Stacey Park Designs by Sizzix. I paired my Framelits with my large format, beautifully large format stamp set, and in no time at all, with the help of my Revealz paper, I was able to make a lovely sample, a lovely card. And again, if I wasn't teaching, I could probably have already had 3 of these done. Oh, Stacey. Now I have this one. That I could put on there, maybe on this one. Maybe I don't do the dotty edge, but I sand. How about we just sand the edge of the paper? You think that's distressed enough? Can you see? With just sanding, look at how pretty is that? Holy smokes, artichokes. And then I can put my top layer and I can continue to build from there. So we played with 2, a stamp and a die from my new collection that launches March 1st, but you should be able to pre-order it now at your local favorite mom and pop independent retailer or your favorite online retailer. Put it on a notify me list. Look at how cute, and then I can just go from there and continue to make. We use the two. I can't believe I put it on upside down. No, nobody's gonna let me forget that. The 2 Take Two Tuesday. Then I used some of my new Jacquard ink. We sanded, we embossed, we stamped, we inked, we made our own card base, we put some bling on. We did it all, and we did it with my new product. So a few samples to show you. Here's the stamp. Look at this. Isn't this fabulous? There's the stamp. Here's the stamp along with the oval, and you can see the embossed element on the oval. I have got a cute little, look at the cute little envelope, using the stamp as a liner for the darling little envelope. Here we have got the stamped image. And then this one I did a little earlier out of the teal. So a little something for everybody. A great way to use stamps and dies. Maybe you didn't know how to make your own card base. Well, you do now. And using the squishy and the knock knock, or the silicone pad and the impression pad to get that beautiful detailed edge around the Revealz paper is just lovely. So I am Stacey, and this is Take Two Tuesday, class number 4. And I took 2. Oh my gosh. It doesn't surprise me that I put the upside down. That's just me. I'm a crafter and we just make it work, right? I fixed it. All is right with the world and we are all happy. But I'm hoping, I really am hoping all of you are typing in, if you're joining me during the premiere, I've done that. Because then you are my people. So thank you for joining me today. Thank you for shopping with your independent retailers and your favorite online stores for the Stacey Park brand of product from Jacquard and Sizzix. If they don't carry it, I encourage you to say, hey, I saw this Take Two Tuesday class with Stacey and I want what she did. And I have never met a retailer who would not go out of their way to get the product for you. So if you are lucky enough to be able to shop local, and if not, then find your favorite online store and either put it on a notify me list or pre-order it with them. My collections launch March 1st. And then I have another collection after that, and then I have another collection after that. And as time goes by with these Take Two Tuesdays, you will see how I will marry product and take something from March and use it with something from a much later collection, and they work seamlessly together so that you get the best value out of your crafty budget with Sizzix and Jacquard. So it's me, Stacey. I will see you next week for our next Take Two Tuesday. And until then, bye everybody.